Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome back to Unlock the Sales Game. Hopefully you're enjoying the series so far. We've covered a lot of ideas, strategies, content, from how to engage a visitor or an actual phone call without pressure, how to use trust-based languaging, how to diffuse tension in a conversation, how to diffuse objections on top of that. So with all the ideas I gave you so far, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring you some real people with some real stories who've succeeded using trust-based selling and unlock the game, and leaving behind the old way of selling to the new way of selling, having great results around that. So I brought with me on the show today 3 guests to share with you their insights, their stories of how they've accomplished success using trust-based selling and unlock the game. So we want to introduce our first one today. Daimien, how are you today?
Good, thank you, Ari. Thank you for having me.
Great. This is Daimien Patterson, and I'll have him introduce where he's from and what he does, and have him walk you through a story a little bit. Daimien.
Well, I own a property investment firm, and I remember when I started the company, I truly believed in what we did. But one of the biggest problems I had was actually convincing other people that it was a good idea to get us to help them. And we've used the trust-based selling model and had a massive breakthrough, and we've been able to grow the company quite significantly as a result.
Okay. So what was selling like for you before you got exposed to our work around trust-based selling? What was selling like in general in terms of your experience?
Well, for me, it was actually, I felt quite awkward at first. I knew I had a good product and service, and but I had trouble getting through to people, and I think the reason for that is people are tired of being sold to. Right. So the moment you talk to them about something, try and offer them a product or service, they straight away throw their barriers up and try and protect themselves because they think you're trying to fleece them for some money or what have you.
Yes.
And of course, you know that that's not what you're trying to do. You believe in your product and you know your product's going to help them. And so I just found it difficult, awkward. It was very frustrating, and I really wasn't happy. And I found it one of the most unpleasant parts of running a business.
Did you find yourself chasing people who would say yes or maybe? You end up chasing them in the process. What was that like, the chasing process?
Well, it's quite funny. It was horrible. I remember actually I used to go to people's homes, and I remember I went to see this guy, and he said to me, if your product's so good, if you're so good, why are you coming to me? And I thought to myself, you know what? You're right. Why am I coming to you?
Right.
And he was the last person I ever chased, because at the same time I'd learnt your system about trust-based selling, and from that moment forward the whole game changed.
Right.
But I found that very awkward. You know you've got a good product, but you shouldn't have to force it on anyone. You shouldn't have to chase people.
Exactly. There should be a match there, naturally, shouldn't there be? What appealed to you to our mindset, our philosophy about focusing on the truth and helping people? What was your connection to that concept? Well,
my background before I got into the property investment industry was I used to be an officer in the Army, and integrity was a very big factor for me in terms of being ethical and doing what is right for all concerned. And when I then got into business, I heard all these different salespeople, sales experts talking about different. I thought, that doesn't have integrity, And then I heard the trust-based selling approach that you teach, and I thought, wow, this is it. This is it for me. And I think we were kindred spirits from that moment forward.
Yes.
And it made me feel so much more at ease that I could go out there and with the right languaging and the right approach, actually get some sales done and sleep well at night knowing that, that the integrity was preserved throughout.
Well, hence your company name is Integrity Property, because you live that value as we live it as well, and that says a lot about yourself. So walk me through a bit about the trust-based languaging that we taught you, learned that you use. What kind of felt for you was opening doors around the words? What language worked for you?
Well, I think the first thing that opened doors for me in terms of my mindset and having success was really that the goal is not the sale, the goal is the truth.
Yes.
And so when I worked that out and I realised that's right, some people don't, where our product's not a fit for them.
Correct.
So I can be bashing my head against the wall and wasting my time here. So as soon as I changed my mindset to the goal not being the sale but just getting to the truth, I then was very quickly able to filter through those leads that weren't appropriate for me and get to the people who did have a problem that my solution would solve. And then from there, the relationship just went a lot smoother in terms of talking to them, because my genuine intention was just to get to the truth about their situation and solve their problems. And that made the selling so much easier. And then, of course, then comes the languaging.
Right.
You know, would you be open to? Does that make sense? Constantly checking in. You know, diffusing if there's any sense that you're giving them any pressure, diffuse that straight away. I apologise. All of these things that, you know, traditional sales techniques, you'd never apologise. You know, well, apology, that's preposterous. But yet it's so powerful when you try it.
Was there a sense of relief for you to finally let go of having to chase somebody that you knew may not buy from you? That's a constant struggle people have, chasing what I call ghosts.
Yes.
People who say yes but don't really mean yes.
One of my favourite things that you said, Ari, was getting high on hopium. And you know, you get people have play this game now, don't they? They say yes to salespeople, and they're just appeasing them to keep, you know, they don't want to have a conflict. So I'm interested. They're not really interested, you know. And through this approach, it's okay. You find out when they're not really interested, because you're taking a totally different strategy. You're just getting to the truth. You want to understand them. You're not putting pressure on them. And then they tell you, look, you know, this is not a fit for us, or you should know about this, and this is going to stop us from buying your product, and so it's not a fit for us today. Oh, thank you very much, and move on.
In a way, you're not really selling, are you? You're really a problem solver, determining if you and them are fit or not.
Absolutely.
So the pressure comes off you, right? You don't have to feel obligated to try and convince them to say yes, right?
Absolutely, and that's just a massive relief. And look, it's not normal for people to sell. You know, traditional sales methods are manipulative, high pressure. No, good people don't do those things. And the trust-based selling approach, you don't need to do any of those things. In fact, those things are the exact opposite of what you should do.
Right.
And I'm living proof that it works.
Well, walk us through your success story. I mean, we met, I think 6-7 years ago, starting your own business on your own, and now kind of walk people through how you've used this to grow your company.
I think when I first met you, Ari, I was 6 months into the business.
Yes.
And I'd been through that period of time, you know, just bashing my head against the wall.
Right.
And then it was like an awakening, you know, a realisation that, actually there's a better way to do it. And I think the first month that I applied it, I quadrupled my results, quadrupled my results in the first month I applied this approach. And then from there, I was a one-man band back then. I now have 23 staff. We go all around Australia. I've taught your teachings to my team, and they've passed them on, and it's imbued in our culture now. You know, we're integrity property. We help property investors. We're not somewhere, you know, these fly-by-nighters who go and put pressure on people and make them sign things they don't want to sign. We are the most trusted property investment company in Australia, and all of our staff love working with us because our culture is right, and the trust-based selling approach is a complete fit for
So for you, this is not a technique. This is how you are with people in general, right?
Absolutely. It's a culture. I think it starts as a technique, and then it becomes the culture.
Yes.
And then when you're in doubt of what to do, you just come back to what's the culture say? We're good people, we have integrity, and our job is to help people. And if we're going to help them, we need to get to the truth about their situation so we know what their problems really are, and then we can present ourselves as a solution if we can help them, or we can be completely honest with them and say, you know what, you probably need to get this solution, not ask them.
It sounds like your process to master this was first owning the mindset, using the languaging, and then having it be natural for you, put those together, and now you live it every day. Even upstairs before the studio interview, you told me about a sale you just made with somebody, using the languaging and living the process. What was that like? Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, people have different things they want to do. And you know, we were talking about, I had a client just last night who said they wanted to do a whole heap of things. And I just talked them through all their different options. Rather than try and force my solution on them, I just talked to them about all the different things they might want to do. And I didn't run any of them down. I just talked about the pros and cons of each and said, look, you know, as long as you thought about those, then whatever decision you make, I'm sure will be right for you.
Right.
And they end up coming back to me and go, actually, Daimien, we want to do what you suggest. And it was just music to my ears.
That's beautiful.
They were asking me to sell to them rather than me trying to.
And that's how it should be.
Exactly.
People asking you to join them versus you try to pull them in your direction. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, look, if you were to share one thought with the audience watching this right now, those who are skeptical, thinking this can't be possible, it seems too easy, it can't happen this elegantly, what would you share with them to be open to trying this?
Well, look, I think if you're losing sleep about getting sales, if you feel a little bit dirty sometimes when you feel like you are deceiving people, you're not telling them the whole truth, then if you're doing it any other way than this, you are feeling that way, I'm sure. So you need to give it a go. That's the first thing I would say. And just focus, just stop trying to sell.
Right. Build trust instead.
Yeah, just focus on building a connection, understanding their problems in detail.
Right.
And then once you understand their situation in detail, you'll know if you're a fit for them or not. And then ask them for permission to help them. Say to them, okay, well, I think I can help you solve that problem. Would you like me to help you?
Of course,
and then
beautiful.
Be quiet.
Is it okay if I suggest this? Beautiful. Yeah. Well, Daimien, that's been great. Thank you so much for sharing with everybody your story. So that was our segment today for the show Unlock the Sales Game. We have 2 more coming up, 2 more guests, and I'm sure you'll be excited to meet them and hear their stories as well. We'll talk to you soon and see you soon. Welcome back to Unlock the Sales Game, and real people, real stories, real results. And we just had Daimien earlier and hopefully enjoyed his insights to his story. Today we have David Boyar with us, who's CEO of Sequel VC, is that right? VCFO, who has also an entrepreneur, has his own business, struggled with selling to be able to grow his company, adopted trust-based selling as his company culture, and I'm going to have him tell you a story. But David, how are you?
Pretty well, thanks.
Great. So walk us through a bit about your experience with selling prior to getting exposed to my work around trust-based selling, Unlock the Game. What was it like for you in terms of the whole notion of doing it? What kind of, what things came up for you?
Well, we try to sell financial control and visibility to small and medium businesses.
Your virtual CFO company, right?
That's right, yeah. So we often would go out and find that people just compare us to bookkeepers or accountants. And it was very hard for people to see the value in what we do. And not only that, we'd end up getting compared to a price point that somebody else would have. Anyone who we got in front of was usually through somebody in our network or somebody, a friend of a friend. It was pretty challenging to differentiate what we did, but also just to get them away from the idea that I've already got an accountant, I've already got a bookkeeper. It was just this wall that we never ever seemed to be able to get around. And we needed something to help because that was stopping us and we were losing leads.
Was selling something you signed up for when you had your own business, thinking to yourself, I'd have to sell my services? Because your background is an accountant, right?
That's right, yeah.
But now you're asked to sell.
Yeah.
How did that whole notion grasp you?
It's a difficult one because you're driven by your natural desire to go out and start an own business. So you've got an element of it, and you know that you need to sell to do that.
Right.
But over 15 years working, you never really get any sales training. You never have to represent yourself and your own brand and get people to trust you. You sell a set of accounts or you sell a piece of tax advice, and that's kind of it.
Yes.
And
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.